Hi everybody, I'm Ruechel and welcome to the PCS Journal, at least my segment, where we sit down and talk with folks within the school district about what it is they do and how it affects your children. My guest today is a good friend of mine, Donna Sicilian. We've known each other for, well, more years than we'd like to brag about. Right
we were
here.
babies.
Executive Director of Student Services in Pinellas County. Donna, good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, I have to ask you this because I know you're a tremendous passionate person. I know that. So when somebody talks about student attendance, you go, well, how do you get passionate about something like student attendance?
Well, I think I have passion for personal experience and professional experience.
Yeah.
So professionally, we know that when kids miss school, it greatly affects their education, whether it's excused or unexcused absences. Every minute that a student's not in school learning is a minute that they are away from the education that they need to receive. And we're doing great things here in Pinellas County Schools, and we want kids to be here so they can benefit and take advantage of all the learning opportunities that exist.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the professional side of it. If they're not here, all the wonderful things we do, they don't get to partake in. Now, my personal side of it is when I was a child, I was actually a truant. When I was in junior high, I had a real problem with truancy. I wasn't attending school. And I like to share why, because I think it gives insight into the fact that you hear the word truant or chronic absence and you think this is a bad kid or a bad family situation. And there's as many reasons for kids being absent as there are kids that are absent.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So for me personally, we had just moved here from New York, and it was such a big change for me in junior high that I started to experience a lot of anxiety and actually had panic attacks. So I would leave school, and I went to Largo Junior High, so I'd get on the railroad tracks behind the school, and I was going to walk back to New York. You know.
Oh my gosh.
So,
right, yeah.
you know, I know, and what happened for me, what worked was a guidance counselor at the school kind of recognized that it was anxiety, and he gave me a little note that said, you know, Donna can leave class at any time and come to my office when she needs to. And just having that note helped, because it was kind of that out. When you have anxiety, a lot of times you feel like you need to escape,
Right.
that fight,
or
flight.
you need a solution for what you're going
Exactly.
through. Right, yeah.
So, you know, that insightful counselor was able to recognize what was happening with me as a child and provide an appropriate intervention that worked, that once I knew that I had that out, that I had that escape, I really didn't even use it. Just knowing it existed, I was able to be in class, make friends, and adjust to my new life here in Florida.
You know, one of the things that I think we talk about here a lot is that the extra burdens that are placed on teachers. You know, and as a teacher, because I can tell you my story, which I'll do in 30 seconds. My parents got divorced when I was in 3rd grade. I missed a ton of school because I was so emotionally upset that I just could not sit there in the classroom and hear all these stories about moms and dads. Are teachers trained to kind of know that, like when a student's gone for a couple, 2 or 3 days, or when they have more than normal absences, are they trained to say, okay, that kid is having a problem at home. I can kind of tell what's going on with that. And then do they have the time, as happened with you, where they get a counselor that can say, well, this is what the real problem is, help you identify it, and help you solve it?
It does happen. First, to answer the first part of your question, we do provide training for teachers. We provide a lot of training that we call trauma-informed care training. So in your example, it's the divorce of your family, obviously and understandably, was a great trauma for you as a child.
Yeah.
And so we train teachers and all staff, because we train cafeteria workers, bus drivers, student service staff, administrators, and teachers on how to recognize those signs of trauma, which chronic absence is a sign. Also, when they are in school, how are they behaving? What are some of the signs? And that way we can help identify, because we always see the kids that kind of act out behaviorally. And they may get referred to counselors and administrators for intervention, but we really want to learn how to identify those silent sufferers, like you and I were as kids, that either aren't coming to school, or when they're there, they're experiencing anxiety or depression or stress. So we do train teachers, and we do have, you know, processes in place to get them with the social worker, psychologist, school counselor, and also community support when needed. Does it happen in every single case? Probably not, but we want to continue to improve, do the training, help identify the kids, get more and more resources into the schools so that we can meet the needs of all the kids.
Okay, now, educators are always talking about data and about why it's so important. So now you've developed some kind of a database where you can do a better job of keeping track of those kind of things, right?
That's correct. What we've done is, rather than a separate database, we're using our student information system, which we call Focus. We have always tracked attendance in Focus, but we've only tracked it in terms of, was this an excused or unexcused absence? So first of all the research across the country shows that, because this is a nationwide issue.
Oh, sure.
Districts across the country are struggling with how do we improve student attendance. The research shows us it doesn't matter if it's excused or unexcused. As I said earlier, it's time away from education. So the other thing that we try to do is, because the numbers can become large, especially at larger high schools, it's difficult to have the resources to try to work with every individual child.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is look at trends in the data and see, at this particular school, why are students missing school, and then provide an intervention to a larger group. So we develop these codes in Focus so that we're starting to track, why is a student absent? Is it a medical reason? Did they miss the bus? Is there a family situation? You know, and so we're actually tracking the reasons why students are absent. That gives the school team data that they can problem solve. So for example, we had an elementary school that did this very thing, and they were tracking their data on why students and when students were absent. And they came to realize that this particular school had a large number of students that were walkers. They didn't have buses at this elementary school. And they found out that whenever the weather was bad, when it was raining, their attendance dropped. And so they came to realize that it was the walkers having to walk to school in the rain. So this ingenious principal went and got umbrellas donated, large umbrellas, and took them to the homes of all the walkers. And now they had umbrellas that they could walk to school with, and the attendance rate improved greatly. So that was a good example of how we didn't need to intervene with every one of those individual students. Once we had the data that showed us there was a common issue, a common barrier to getting to school, and then we could provide something that would affect a large number of students.
Man, what a great example. Who would have thought that when you're going to be a teacher, go, oh, by the way, be sensitive and have some extra umbrellas in the back of your pocket.
Exactly.
So in terms of measuring what's going on within the school district, I would imagine that attendance even affects things like graduation rate, test scores, all those kind of things. When do you consider, is there a benchmark, like after they've missed 6 or 7 days, we think there's a problem, or is it 5 days, or is it 10 days, or what?
Okay, well, the law has some statutes that say that if you miss, 5 days in a 30-day or 10 days in a 90 calendar day period, then you're considered chronically absent. But all the research shows that we really need to start intervening even earlier than that. So once a student has missed like 3 days, really once a child's missed 1 day, we want to make sure we know why, and is there anything we can do? If the child's sick, kids get sick, and we don't want people coming to school when they have something that's contagious or they're seriously ill. But we want to reach out, let the family know, hey, we missed your student, we're concerned, is there anything we can do? So really, we ask schools within 1 to 3 days, when a student's accumulating 1 to 3 days, to reach out to the family. We want to find out why, we want to find out what we can do, and we want to stress the importance. One of the things that we've started to do this semester is we've changed the letters that we send home to families when students are absent.
Okay.
So we actually are including a bar graph at the bottom of the letter, and what the bar graph will show families is, here are the number of days that most students at your school, the average number of days missed. That might be 5 or 6. Now here's the number of days your child has missed. Because this has been shown to be effective in helping families understand that a day here, a day there add up. That they can do, if they can do things like make dental appointments and medical appointments after school hours or on non-school days, if they can arrange alternative transportation for when their child misses the bus, if they can make sure there's an alarm so the child gets up on time, that these kinds of interventions really matter, because just a couple days out, there's a lot of learning going on that your child's missed.
Now, this kind of relates back to what you and I were talking about earlier. Is there any kind of statistic that shows that kids that come from broken homes are more likely to be absent than kids that come from homes that are whole, or that there is a parental supervision, maybe a grandparent, an aunt or an uncle, or something like that?
Well, there is data that shows us that there's a number of things that can put kids at a higher risk for being absent, and that is one of them, family issues, because particularly at the elementary age, when students miss school, they're very dependent on the adults in their life to get them to school.
Oh, sure.
So when you have a situation like what you're describing going on in the family, it does become more difficult for families to prioritize and make sure the child gets to school. You know, if you're dealing with your own emotions and you're in the middle of a divorce, or now you're a single parent family and you don't have the second person to help you with everything, or you're concerned financially, you know, we all have that hierarchy of needs. Families are struggling sometimes to make sure they have shelter and food and the essentials, electricity. So sometimes going to school can fall off a parent's radar. But oftentimes when we bring it to their attention, we offer support, we can help find solutions to those kinds of things.
Because I would imagine there's a little bit of a pride thing that's going on here too when you start dealing with family histories and stuff, where people, you know, are embarrassed, but maybe there's a divorce, or they're embarrassed, but they lost a job, or that kind of stuff. And so what we would consider offering help to them might be considered like, you know, get out of my face, you're in my business, you know, stop that.
Right. So we need to be respectful. We need to try to offer that kind of assistance and support, but doing it in a respectful manner. You know, we want to come across as helpful, because really we're all concerned and caring for the same child.
Oh, yeah.
And we want to do what we can to support the child and the child's family.
Most part, when you talk to parents about it, are they receptive, most parents?
Yes, because parents care about their child. They want their child to be educated. Families are doing the absolute best they can. We have a lot of families in our district where the grandparents are raising, you know, grandparents our age, Al, are raising very young children. It's not where they thought they would be at this point in their life. And they are absolutely, I know in my heart of hearts that families are doing the absolute best that can, even in situations where we look and there's neglect. We say, you know, people do not purposefully engage in that kind of behavior. They just need help. And like you said, sometimes they're open and sometimes they're resistant, but we always want to offer it. And if we feel it's at a point where the family's resistant, but it's in the child's safety issue, then we involve other entities.
Well, and you know, and I know you personally and many other people that are in your department, and you people you have such compassion. I mean, it's not fake compassion. It's not, I have to be compassionate. It's because that's who you really are. And I like this, that there's kind of a checklist that you give to parents and the students too, where it says, I'll read this. I will make attending school every day a priority. I'll keep track of my attendance and absences. I will set my alarm clock for when our kids were in IB, 5 a.m. Oh my gosh. I will attend school every day unless I'm truly sick with a temperature of 100 degrees or more. I will find a relative, friend, or neighbor who can take me to school if I miss it. If I'm absent, I will contact my teachers. I will set up medical and dental appointments for weekdays after school. By the way, that's not always easy to do.
I know, that's something our medical providing community could help with by having more flexibility.
Okay, braces after 4 o'clock, please. When I'm struggling with a challenge keeping me from school, I will confide in an adult at school. Donna, you know, great work, and I just know the people in your department are just, your heart is in it 100%. And want your kids to go to school, because every day you miss school, you miss something maybe important to your future.
Definitely.
Donna, thank you so much. Always good talking to you. See you Sunday. Huh?
See you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more of our program right after this.